Hello and welcome to the March 31st, 2024 episode of Nick's News. Happy Easter! If you do not celebrate Easter, I hope you have had a phenomenal Sunday. I am your host, Nick. This is brought to you by Some Budget Studios. That's right, I have begun to put some money into this project. We're on usually every other Sunday, and I thank you all so much for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nick's News Facebook page. We're here on Facebook Meta, whatever the hell it's called this week. We are working on cross-platforming. I finally did reach out to a few people to get some resources done for our YouTube page. So at some point during this year, we will have a YouTube page available, which will have all of the Nick's News episodes on it, as well as shorts, and it will be I'm planning to co-stream between Facebook and YouTube, because I have a few folks who don't have Facebook. They refuse to use it, and I'm cool with that. So I am going to try to figure out how to dual stream between Facebook and YouTube. I think it's pretty easy with the system that I'm using. We'll go through it as we hit that point. So this is a program dedicated to bringing some good news to counter all of the bad news that we are bombarded with on a daily basis, with the hope of bringing a little bit of joy back to the world. Several of our articles are usually pulled by goodnewsnetwork.org, but this episode is all articles that were sent in by you, the viewers. So yeah, I apologize again for being late. I apologize for the first time for being late, and I will apologize again right afterwards for being late to start. Normally we start at 9 o'clock. I was a little bit held up today, so please forgive me. The chat is not. Sean has already started in on me. Lily is also upset with me. There's no pleasing any of you, and that's fine. So we'll just get right into this. What's our news brew? So for news brew, I decided to pick Oberon from Bell's Brewery. Oberon, it was Oberon Day last week, and I actually have not had one yet. Normally I have an Oberon on the first day of Oberon week, or Oberon Day. Usually I have an Oberon on Oberon Day. I haven't yet. So we're going to have our Oberon on Nick's News. It's a 5.8% ABV Wheat Ale. It is a seasonal brew. Pick it up, because that first drop out of this bottle just makes you ready for summer. It makes you think of summer. It makes you want summer. I mean, look at the bottle. Look at the happy little sun on the bottle. It's like something straight out of Bob Ross. So the chat is exploding. I'm happy to see that. Hello, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. I know we're late. I'm glad that worked out for some of you. I'm sad it didn't for others. So let's get our Oberon in. We are going with the Iron Man pint glass because I'm sorry if it's comic book related. For me, it's Iron Man. The Balisong bottle opener makes its return. Yay for Oberon. Theatrics of a 5-minute pour. Gotta love that sun-colored beer. That wheat ale. Now, some folks will fight me on this, and I will fight you back with a kitchen knife. Why do I have a kitchen knife? Because Oberon is enjoyed in a very specific way. You always enjoy Oberon with an orange. I know there was a huge campaign a while ago, Don't Fruit the Beer. God, that was a decade ago. More than a decade ago. What am I saying? But I think that is wrong. Oberon gets a slice of orange. So, we're going to cut a slice right out of a fresh orange for this beer. I have a cutting board on my table just for this. My beer is complete. This is how you drink Oberon. And now I gotta move the knife and the orange off my table. It's a big kitchen knife. I chose my flashiest kitchen knife for all of those theatrics. All right. Hater's gonna hate. Just watching me fling that knife around. It is anxiety inducing, isn't it? Well, Sean, you're the minority today. You're also Canadian. I'll let that one slide, but you're still the beer minority. What do we got next? Shout out. So, first shout out for this episode goes to Monita Johnson, Ashley's mother. Monita celebrated her 50th not anniversary, Jesus, I'm sorry. Her 50th birthday on St. Patrick's weekend, 2 weekends ago. I was absolutely terrible for not including her in the shout-outs in the last episode. Monita, I apologize. So happy birthday to you, Monita. I hope that St. Patty's Day weekend was fantastic for you. We all celebrated out in Chicago. It was great. Next shout-out goes to my parents and any parents out there who hosted Easter Sunday brunch, lunch, dinner, drinks, whatever. It takes a lot, and there are a lot of parents out there that are doing a fantastic job of hosting Easter dinner this year. My parents especially, it was amazing. I was so happy. And so this is a shout out to all the parents that are putting in the family work on this day. Last shout out for this episode is going to be to everybody who attended the celebration of Merrick Schlukebir's life on March 22nd, or celebrated with us in spirit. I know not all of you could make it to the event, but I know you celebrated it in spirit, and I'm so thankful for everybody. Merrick was an amazing part of all of our lives. Everybody that he interacted with, he left a lasting impression on. And I'm glad that we could all honor him one way or another. So, cheers, Merrick. We love you. That's good. For the news quote, a little bit less wordy than the last one. Just 2 sentences. Keep it short. It is not enough to have a good mind. The main thing is to use it well. That is from René Descartes, who was a French philosopher, scientist, and mathematician. He's widely considered a seminal figure in the emergence of modern philosophy and science. I think it's a fantastic quote. It is not enough to have a good mind. The main thing is to use it well. You can have the right mindset. You can be oriented, towards the right things, but you've got to put that mind to the right stuff. So, it's a really cool quote. So thank you very much, René Descartes. Cheers. Bug update. It's all quiet on the buggy front. Darkling beetles have cycled through their life. I've got a bunch of children in that tank. I have also more adults on the way. The roaches are doing fine. Annie the spider is still with us. She's still crawling around in that tank and occasionally making webs. So she's still eating. So all's well. I really got to figure out what I'm going to get next to shake things up. I got to get something interesting because it's getting kind of quiet in the bug universe. So. Descartes. Thank you very much, Sean. All right. So all of our articles are actually articles that were... There's some interesting suggestions in the chat. Definitely no to Human Centipede. I really kind of do want a scorpion because I'm a madman like that. Not that I'd be able to do anything with it. But But just seeing it, I also consider getting like a tailless whip scorpion because those things look so cool to me and so alien. And I really like the arthropods that just have different appearance to them and are off-putting. I find them oddly cute. So, Sean now says it was Descartes. You know what? I'm gonna go with what I said. So yeah, all of our news for this episode is articles that were sent in by all of you. I didn't go with everything that was sent in, so just a heads up, there are some that are going to go to the next Nick's News, because y'all sent in a lot of great articles, and I thank you all so much for sending them in. I also just did not have a chance to go through Good News Network to kind of flesh things out, but we've got 9 great articles tonight, so let's get into them. Our broadcast is broken up into 4 major categories, and those categories are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and the wholesome notes, which are those really nice feely articles that we end on. So we are going to start off with category 1, science and technology, and our first article comes from Cassidy. In fact, both of our articles for science and technology come from Cassidy. It was almost a three-peat, but I decided to save one for next time, so... Thank you for this one, Cassidy. I called it Powerflex. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along, which means I need to open up the chat because this app doesn't let me chat. Oop, that is the wrong chat. I need to open up that chat. There we go. Where's my chat? God, I hate this thing. It's so difficult to get around this thing sometimes. There we go. Flexible solar panels achieve record-breaking efficiency. Printed sheets could fit to car roofs or awnings in what researchers say is game changer for renewable energy industry. Ah, what the hell is that? This thing is not supposed to have pop-ups. I have an ad blocker for this. Work, ad blocker. Sean has derailed us because he's yelling about the snow that I sent. Sean, when I'm sad, it snows because the snow cheers me up. Is it still frozen? Is everything running? Someone give me a feed check. And then we're left waiting because there's a delay. I hope I didn't freeze up. Oh, everybody's saying running for me, all running here, all good here. Fantastic. All right. And then Sean with the expletives. Snow for you. All right, let's get into this article. Scientists have achieved a record-breaking level of efficiency for flexible solar panels using the so-called miracle material, perovskite. The lightweight solar panels developed by researchers in Australia and the UK were able to convert 11% of the sun's energy into electricity, making them suitable for commercial use. 11% doesn't seem like much, but in the scheme of things, converting solar energy into something that we can use, 11%, not bad. Their flexibility means they can also be deployed in previously impossible ways, such as on curved roofs, awnings, or even vehicles. The international team, made up of scientists from the University of Cambridge, Monash University, the University of Sydney, and the University of New South Wales, made the breakthrough using a new technique to print the solar cells on bendy rolls. The Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organisation, or CSIRO, an Australian government agency who led the research project, said both the scale and the efficiency achieved during the tests made it a real game changer for the renewable energy industry. That's pretty cool. The cells are printed using a roll-to-roll technique similar to newspaper printing, which allows for continuous large-scale production, the organization said in a statement. The dramatic increase in efficiency has paved the way for commercially viable perovskite solar cell manufacture at scale. So now we're ramping things up. Perovskite has been widely hailed for its potential to vastly increase the efficiency of solar panels, offering a theoretical limit of 43% when combined with silicon, compared to just 29% for conventional silicon or PV solar panels. Last November, researchers in China broke the efficiency record for solar panel electricity generation using a silicon perovskite tandem solar cell, which reached 33.9% efficiency under lab conditions. So we still got to stick them outside and see what they do, but I think we covered that on a Nick's News article. Or a Nick's News episode. Despite being a long way off this record, the 11% achieved in the latest tests is far greater than the efficiency levels of around 1 or 2% that printed flexible solar panels currently offer. So yeah, printed solar panels right now don't do very well, so 11% is kind of a big upgrade. The next challenge is to scale them up for mass production, with the researchers saying they could be used in everything from disaster relief to space exploration. Cicero said it is currently looking to collaborate with industry partners in order to further develop and commercialize the next generation solar panels. The new solar panels were detailed in a study titled The First Demonstration of Entirely Roll-to-Roll Fabricated Perovskite Solar Cell Modules Under Ambient Room Conditions, published in the journal Nature Communications. That is really cool. To all of the researchers involved, the scientists from the University of Cambridge, Monash University, the University of Sydney, and the University of New South Wales, and to Cassidy for sending in that article. Cheers. It's very nice. The PPPU. Sean, I will enjoy that. This next article was also sent in by Cassidy. Again, Cassidy sent in both of our science and technology articles, and it's about power again, and I called it More Power, Maximum Power. So thank you again, Cassidy. And I will copy and paste this one into the chat if y'all want to read along. Perovskite panel power up. I like it. I love it, Lily. Very nice. Nope. There we go. There we go. And I'll wait for that to hit the chat. Consumers Energy announces large-scale solar project in Muskegon County. For those of you who don't know, I am based out of Michigan. Several of our watchers, our newsies, our Nick's newsies, are in Muskegon or in areas around Muskegon County. So this is big news for West Michigan. And this is out of Moreland Township in particular. It's the new Sailor Moon Iron Man battle cry. Maximum power. Maybe. New or more power, maximum power? I don't know. You'll have to elaborate, Eliza. Consumer... I don't forget what's below the belt. You just think that dropping snow on me is going to hurt me in any way, shape, or form. Buddy, I go swimming in this stuff. Like Scrooge McDuck. In about the same amount of clothes. Consumers Energy has announced the details of the utility company's first large-scale solar project. The Muskegon Solar Energy Center will use approximately 1,900 acres of land in Moreland Township in partnership with the Muskegon County Resource Recovery Center to capture enough solar energy to power approximately 40,000 homes. Construction is set to start next month. As scheduled, the 250 megawatt facility will be up and running by 2026. The Muskegon Solar Energy Center will be part of the utility's new infrastructure, and its goal to generate 8,000 megawatts of solar energy annually by 2040. And Eliza, that is a good statement. Not just West Michigan, though. Driving either from Grand Rapids to West Michigan or from Grand Rapids out to the other end of the state, you can see all sorts of solar farms and small solar patches set up already. And they're generating huge amounts of energy for buildings, for homes, for who knows what. So it's really cool that we are really expanding here in the state of Michigan, where we really don't get the sun like as much as certain other states, but we're still taking advantage of the time that we have. Consumers Energy has some of the most aggressive clean energy goals in the nation, and projects like this are a critical part of achieving those goals. Consumers Energy Vice President of Clean Energy Development David Hicks said in a statement. Partnering with an organization like the Muskegon County Resource Recovery Center, with its long history of service to the county, combined with the benefits of solar energy and the revenues this agreement can provide, is truly a win-win for all parties. As part of the partnership, consumers will own and operate the facility, while Muskegon County, Moreland Township, and the MCRRC owns the property and collect revenue from the lease. The utility company has been working with the state as part of the Michigan Healthy Climate Plan to cut greenhouse gas emissions and move toward renewable energy sources. Consumers is still on track to be coal-free by 2025, one of the first utility companies in the nation to do so. Overall, their goal is to be carbon neutral and to source at least 90% of their power supply through clean, renewable sources. In the long term, the more renewable energy that we bring online, the lower our bills will be, because it's obviously cheaper to route the energy that is free, and so we are excited about increasing every year the amount that we have online. We have a very ambitious goal for the number of megawatts by 2040, consumer spokesperson Tracy Wimmer said. Consumers Energy is also working on 2 other solar facilities, one at the former Karn coal plant in Bay City and a 3,000-acre farm along the border between Berry and Calhoun counties. That is huge. Can't wait to get your solar lights back out. That's pretty cool with Germany. Very cool. Cassidy, thank you so much for sending in this article. And to Consumers Energy, I normally don't give companies shout outs like that, but I will give Consumers Energy a shout out for having such an ambitious goal for renewables and for building a massive solar farm. Cheers. Hopefully, it doesn't bite us in the ass. Oh, how do I have this structured? Do I have this backwards? Okay, I had it backwards for a moment. Now we got it. All right, so that's going to get us out of science and technology. We're going to get into category 2, health and medicine. This first one comes from Eliza. Eliza, thank you so much for sending this one in. I called it Testing Heart Health. Actual title of the article, well, I'll copy and paste it into the chat if y'all want to read along. Blood test helps predict future heart attacks. A standard blood test can reveal whether a person is at high risk of having a heart attack within 6 months, a new study shows. Researchers identified dozens of biomarkers in blood linked to the risk of a first heart attack, according to a report published on February 12th in the journal Nature Cardiovascular Research. The samples that are already taken in healthcare now are enough to predict the risk of an impending heart attack, said lead researcher Johan Sundström, a cardiologist and professor of epidemiology at Uppsala University in Sweden. Heart attacks are the most common cause of death in the world. However, it's been difficult to predict heart attacks because most known risk factors exist in a person long before they have their emergency, researchers said. We know that the time just before a heart attack is very dynamic, Sundström said in the university news release. For example, the risk of a heart attack doubles during the month after a divorce, and the risk of a fatal heart event is 5 times as high during the week after a cancer diagnosis. Given that, researchers analyzed blood samples taken from 420 people at least 6 months before they suffered their first heart attack. They compared those results to nearly 1,600 healthy people. We identified around 90 molecules that were linked to a risk of a first heart attack, Sundstrom said. We wanted to develop methods that would enable the health services to identify people who will soon suffer their first heart attack. These included 48 proteins and 43 biochemicals produced through metabolism, results show. Those combined with age, sex, and blood pressure were associated with the risk of an imminent first heart attack. Using that information, researchers also created a simple online tool through which anyone can learn their risk of having a heart attack within the next half year. The tool at myscore.org predicts heart attack risk based on age, gender, education, height, waist circumference, cholesterol levels, smoking status, and whether or not a person has diabetes. If you find out that you happen to have an increased risk of suffering a heart attack soon, perhaps you will feel more motivated to prevent it, Sundstrom said. We hope that this will increase people's motivation to take their preventative medicine or stop smoking, for example. Researchers now will study the 90 biomarkers to understand them better and see if they present an opportunities for treatment to prevent an impending heart attack, they said. To everybody at the Uppsala University for working on this project and for helping to identify risks of heart attack farther out than hopefully ever before and help with the diagnosis process. And to Eliza for sending in that article. Cheers. Good on you, Sean. Good on you. This next one was sent in by Cassidy, and it is a cancer article, so we all know what we call that. Cancer. Fuck cancer. And I will copy this into the chat if y'all want to read along with me. Moving right along. There we go. LungVax vaccine uses DNA technology to prevent lung cancer. Developed by scientists from the University of Oxford, the Francis Crick Institute, and University College London, the LungVax vaccine uses technology similar to the highly successful Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. The team will receive funding for the study over the next 2 years to support lab research and initial manufacturing of 3,000 doses of the vaccine at the Oxford Clinical Biomanufacturing Facility. Lung cancer cells look different from normal cells due to having red flag proteins called neoantigens. Neoantigens appear on the surface of the cell because of cancer-causing mutations within the cell's DNA. The LungVax vaccine will carry a strand of DNA which trains the immune system to recognize these neoantigens on abnormal lung cells. The LungVax vaccine will then activate the immune system to kill these cells and stop lung cancer. That is crazy. In this study, the scientists are developing this vaccine in the lab to show that it successfully triggers an immune response. If this work is successful, the vaccine will move straight into clinical trial. If the subsequent early trial delivers promising results, the vaccine could then be scaled up to bigger trials for people at high risk of lung cancer. This could include people aged 55 to 74 who are current smokers or have previously smoked and currently qualify for targeted lung health checks in some parts of the UK. There are around 48,500 cases of lung cancer every year just in the UK. 72% of lung cancers are caused by smoking, which is the biggest preventable cause of cancer worldwide. Kidani Professor of Immuno-Oncology at the University of Oxford and research lead for the LungVax project, Professor Tim Elliott, said, "Cancer is a disease of our own bodies, and it's hard for the immune system to distinguish between what's normal and what's cancer. Getting the immune system to recognize and attack cancer is one of the biggest challenges in cancer research today. This research could deliver an off-the-shelf vaccine based on Oxford's vaccine technology, which proved itself in the COVID-19 pandemic. If we can replicate the kind of success seen in trials during the pandemic, we could save the lives of tens of thousands of people every year in the UK alone." This is such a huge breakthrough indeed. If this works and these trials go well, this is nuts. Professor Mariam Jamal Hanjani of University College London and the Francis Crick Institute, who will be leading the LungVax clinical trial, said fewer than 10% of people with lung cancer survive their disease for 10 years or more. That must change. This research complements existing efforts through lung health checks to detect lung cancer earlier in people who are at greatest risk. We think the vaccine could cover around 90% of all lung cancers based on our computer models and previous research, and this funding will allow us to take the vital first steps towards trials in patients. LungVax will not replace stopping smoking as the best way to reduce your risk of lung cancer. The best way to stop that is to stop smoking, but I understand some folks smoke. So there's that. But it could offer a viable route to preventing some of the earliest stage cancers from emerging in the first place. Chief Executive of Cancer Research UK, Michelle Mitchell, I almost said Michelle, but it's Michelle Mitchell, said, the science that successfully steered the world out of the pandemic could soon be guiding us toward a future where people can live longer, better lives free from the fear of cancer. Projects like LungVax are a really important step forward into an exciting future where cancer is much more preventable. We're in a golden age of research, and this is one of many projects which we hope will transform lung cancer survival. President of CRIS Cancer Foundation, Lola Mantarola, said, this must be a simulation, because these names, Michelle Mitchell and Lola Mantarola. We are at a crucial moment in the history of cancer research and treatment. For the first time, technology and knowledge of the immune system are allowing us to take the first steps forward preventing cancer. This groundbreaking study represents a firm step in that direction, and we at CRIS consider it essential to support it. That is really cool. Have a good night, Sean. I'm going to be getting up at around 4:30 as well tomorrow for going to the gym. So, yeah, sounds like a WWE lie. A little bit. That is really cool. Cassidy, thank you so much for sending that one in. And to everybody involved in this study, best of luck, and I hope LungVax works. Cheers. I had a little bit left in the bottle. Okay, so that gets us out of health and medicine, and it gets us into our third major category, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals. Let's jump in. I called this first one Planting the Path to Clean Water. Eliza sent this one in, so thank you very much, Eliza. I will copy and paste this into the chat for you all to read along. How planting trees is bringing clean water to a tropical nation. The Dominican Republic's forests are being cut down for grazing land, and it's also having a serious effect on the water supply. Is planting new trees a natural solution to the crisis? Dominica Reynoso turned her rusted squeaky tap above the kitchen sink. Nothing, not even a drop, came out. Even the pipes, which usually gurgled in anticipation, stayed silent. Reynoso and her neighbors, who live in Santo Domingo, the capital of the Dominican Republic, would go without running water for 22 days, an increasingly common occurrence across the mountainous Caribbean island of Hispaniola, which the country shares with Haiti. Historically, the country has relied on bountiful natural supplies of water, which are freely accessible to both public and private entities. Over the past century, however, that supply has been under threat. Increased demands from the tourist, mining, and agricultural industries have meant less water for the people. Economic and population growth are putting great pressures on the Dominican Republic's traditionally bountiful water sources, says Chloe Oliver Viola, a senior water supply and sanitation specialist at the World Bank. Reforms and greater investments are urgently needed to ensure sustainable use and safe water supply for businesses and households. Kind of need one to have the other. And not in that order. Decades of deforestation to make way for cattle grazing, natural disasters like hurricanes destroying already fragile sewer systems and infrastructure, and mismanagement of water resources have resulted in the country experiencing a water crisis it has never seen before, says Francisco Nunez, the Central Caribbean Director of the Nature Conservancy, a nonprofit organization specializing in water and land conservation. We're going through a severe drought, he says. Animals have been dying, crops failing. To build a dam to conserve water supplies is not enough. We need nature to provide water. We need to go back to the ecosystem and rebuild from the beginning. In 2011, Nunez helped launch a multi-country project called the Latin American Water Funds Partnership, bringing millions of dollars of funding from conglomerates such as the world's largest bottler of fizzy drinks to invest in water projects in the Latin American and Caribbean regions. The partnership established 24 water funds throughout the region, forming a set of guidelines in order to set standards and best practices for each fund. Nunez, who was born and raised in the Dominican Republic, spearheaded 2 water funds in his home country, one restoring 3 river basins in the Santo Domingo region, and one high in the mountains in the watershed of the Yaque del Norte, the longest river in the country. The aim of the water funds is simple, says Patricia Brew, head of the Santo Domingo Water Fund, to focus on nature-based solutions contributing to achieve water security for the future. To achieve this, the projects have been increasing tree canopies, ensuring the water is managed efficiently, delivering clean water to local communities, and bringing sustainable and long-term economic empowerment to rural areas through environmentally beneficial industries. It's pretty slick. The Yaque del Norte River Basin is home to significant agricultural production, as well as being the country's second largest metropolitan area, which has led to increasing tension between water users. As an island state, we're very vulnerable to climate change. Probably, Brew adds, and the effects of altering the water, the way the water cycle works. Yeah. This is an enormous article. Holy crap. Where was I? Uh-oh. I got lost because I scrolled. It's very in-depth. There we go. Okay, I found where I was. Of all the water on Earth, only 0.5% is fresh water, available for industrial, agricultural, and domestic use. This water is found in groundwater aquifers, freshwater lakes, and rivers, areas vital to the world's water supply, and which are under threat from deforestation, habitat degradation, and expansion of cities. Although Latin America has the most water sources in the world, 36 million people in the region lack access to clean drinking water, which is absolutely unheard of. Just skip to planting the... You're the one that sent the article in. I'm going to have to prune these articles. Let's see. Where do we start with the planting of the trees? Okay. I think I found the start of the solution. The organization's work starts at the very beginning of the watershed ecosystem, at 10,000 feet in the Cordillera Central Mountain Range, also known as Madre de las Aguas, the Mother of the Waters. Around 80% of the country's population depends on the water from this area, which is also the source of the Yaque del Norte, the longest river in the area. The land, which used to be covered in lush green vegetation, is now severely degraded, with roads cutting across the parched landscape, stripped of native trees and heavily grazed by cattle. There's an understanding now that if we want to fix the water crisis, we need to rebuild the watersheds, says Nunez. The team began approaching small-scale farmers living in these rural mountainous areas with a proposition. The Nature Conservancy would help plant either coffee or cacao crops. Both plants help prevent soil erosion, which leads to better water retention in the watershed. Interesting. They are also highly valuable economically. The country is a major export of organic fair trade cocoa. We all love chocolate. Planting a valuable crop means that money is being brought into these rural areas, and farmers are more likely to stick with that crop. Alongside planting coffee and cocoa, the organization seeds other plants to shelter these crops and help them grow, a practice known as agroforestry. The technique has also been found to improve water resiliency as trees pull water from the ground and release it into the atmosphere as vapor through a process called transpiration, which leads to local rainfall. Farmers are also trained in how to monitor the land, aiding in collecting vital data that is fed back to the Nature Conservancy, helping inform future projects and observe progress. The technicians came and gave us courses and lectures on how to plant cocoa, says Digno Pacheco, a farmer participating in the Santo Domingo project. Here, in this small town, there isn't much work, and we see the benefits of undertaking this cocoa project because in the future we can harvest cocoa, more people can work, and our economic situation can improve. At first, it was tough to convince farmers, Nunes says, as there was little trust in outside programs and not a lot of understanding about how watersheds work. It is difficult. Watersheds are pretty crazy, advanced things that can take a long time to figure out, really. It took months to persuade the first handful, but now we have a waiting list, he explains. Farmers see how well their neighbors are doing with our program and they want to sign up. The farmers are compensated for planting trees on their farmland, and the Nature Conservancy provides the seeds and fertilizers. To date, no farmers have pulled out of the project. The project aims to impact the watersheds that produce water for drinking, agriculture, and electricity, which would benefit more than 60% of the country's population by improving water supplies in urban and rural communities and increasing sanitation and waste treatment. That's pretty slick. The project has also trained 370 Dominicans in water conservation practices and restored 8,000 acres of water-producing ecosystems. So they're already seeing some big effects from this. They're getting people motivated, and they are getting these ecosystems rebuilt and producing water effectively. There's no plan B when it comes to water, says Abro, who has seen firsthand how managing the watershed in the mountains can positively impact people in the city, like Domingo Reynoso. Water security is so important for sustainable livelihoods, for human health, and economic development in countries like ours, he says. Up to 40% of households spend 12% of their income on bottled water, while 6 out of 10 urban households report an intermittent water supply. More than 2/3 use bottles or tanks to store water for daily consumption. Water quality is just as important as the quantity available, highlights Walkiria Estevez, director of the Yak del Norte project. Residents in poverty-stricken areas repeatedly report water discoloration and odors from government-run taps, which leaves them at risk of contracting serious illnesses, including cholera. 2/3 of Dominican homes don't have sewage connections which treat wastewater, and that leads to groundwater contamination, a World Bank review found in 2021. In the capital, which has the highest rate of treated water, just 28% is treated, the Nature Conservancy found. It's a problem we really need to tackle, says Estevez, and so we started building artificial wetlands to naturally treat wastewater in rural and suburban communities. So that's really cool. The article goes on with a few other projects that they use, including what was just mentioned, which is the construction of artificial wetlands to help with cleaning water, because wetlands are incredibly efficient at cleaning water sources through the use of different plants, substrates. You can filter particles out. You can uptake nitrogen, phosphorus, get things cleaned out of the water. So this is really interesting. This group is doing a lot in the Dominican Republic to boost water production and clean water production at that. So to everybody involved and to Eliza for sending in that article, cheers. And yes, it is a huge example of empowering people to help. Eliza sent in this next one. It's a little bit shorter. I call it, Cats Do Indeed Get Stuck in Trees. So thank you, Eliza, for sending this one in. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. I did have to find an alternative article. Every time I try to open a Washington Post article, it comes up with that stupid you need to pay for the Washington Post to be able to read this. So I can't use the Washington Post website as a source. So I did have to find an alternative, and luckily I did. I'll paste this in the chat for y'all. Steve to the rescue. Tree trimmer combines love of climbing, special skill set to retrieve cats from trees. Retrieve trees from cats. No, the other way around. Strike that. Reverse it. A New Jersey tree trimmer has rescued more than 100 cats throughout the Garden State. Someone else got cats covered today. Yes, Cassidy. Interesting. Didn't work for me earlier. Not sure why. I'll have to test that. Let's get back into the article. It's a mission Steve Murrow unintentionally set out on about 3 years ago after a friend called him for help. There was a cat that was stuck up there for 5 days. It was cold. It was March, Murrow recalls. They called me. They asked if I could help in this situation, and I was like, absolutely. From there, friends and neighbors began to call Murrow to the rescue. So sometimes they call the fire department first, and after they've exhausted all options, they go online and type in, like, cat in a tree rescue, Murrow explains. Murrow combines his love for climbing and special set of skills to help people reunite with their pet. The reason I do this is because I was raised in a family where it was the right thing you could help another person. It was the right thing if you could help another person. You would do that, Murrow says. He lives in Pittman in South Jersey, but says he'll travel up to an hour to rescue an animal in distress. I do this because it's the right thing to do, and if my story can inspire others to just be good, be kind in any kind of way, whether that's adopting from their local shelter or donating to their shelter, or just holding the door for somebody, then I've done my job, Murrow says. Murrow can be found through his business, the Tesla Tree Services website. Murrow also says Cat in a Tree Emergency Rescue is a place cat owners can go to find other people who specialize in rescuing felines. That is really cool. Eliza, thank you very much for sending that one in. And to Mr. Steve Murrow for rescuing cats from trees. Cheers. This next one was sent in by Julie. I called it It's a Chudo, which is the Spanish word, I believe, for miracle. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Officer Byrne, the cat cop, saves Choodle, or Miracle, found alone in a bush. Florida officer Gretchen Byrne, aka Cat Cop, does it again, rescuing kitties on patrol in the Coral Springs area. Then she provides foster care in her free time and helps find the cats' forever homes. Frequently, she has found furry treasures in area dumpsters, like 2 pretty orange kittens, Ram and Bengal, who were found in a dumpster on Super Bowl Sunday. As her over 62,000 fans know, Officer Byrne is also incredibly funny, posting comedic videos with funny captions and music that makes us lol. Chudo means miracle in Ukrainian. I am dumb. I am not well versed in other languages. I greatly apologize. Chudo means miracle in Ukrainian. More recently, Officer Byrne found a tiny orange bundle of joy with a special name, Chudo, which translates to miracle in Ukrainian. His name is Chudo. It means miracle in Ukrainian, and boy, does the world need one. There's an adorable post. Little Chudo was all alone in a bush, but now is residing in Heaven's Waiting Room in beautiful Boca Raton. When discovered, Chudo still had a dried-up umbilical cord, and the kitten's eyes were shut tight. However, 2 days later, Chudo was watching TV. Notably, Byrne is a 90-day fiance reality TV fan, but Chudo didn't seem impressed. After Chudo opened his eyes, Officer Byrne shared an adorable day in his life on Instagram. As Chudo takes a ride in the patrol car, the kitty receives bottle service, learns how to make biscuits, watches more crap on TV, kisses and goes potty on the nice lady. Now Byrne believes Chudo may be a girl, not a little boy. And there is an adorable video in the article if you'd like to watch. By nearly 2 weeks old, it seems Chudo is indeed a girl and has rhythm. Chudo met her abuela and was bottle fed, and the abuela bottle fed the ravenous kitten. And yes, it's a Team Cole t-shirt. It's adorable. By the end of March, Chudo had grown enough to reach a milestone, the climbing up the leg milestone. Then she quickly got the hang of using a litter box on the first try. Today, Chudo is a playful force to be reckoned with, riding the Mr. Robot vacuum and taunting Gus the cat and the always patient orange kitty, Old Man Peepo. As usual, Officer Byrne chooses the funniest musical accompaniments. So there are more videos to watch throughout this. Abuela means... Yes, I do know what abuela means. I got that word down. I don't have a lot of others, but I do know that one. Each day you can see Chudo and Byrne share a strong bond, and it's so cute to watch. But the kitten has also bonded with a little black and white kitten named Poi, found at a gas station. Recently, the two little cuties stayed together at home for the first time. Who knows what they got up to? Whatever they do, it's going to be cute. At 1.12 pounds, Chudo has grown enough to visit the United for Animals Rescue, or UFAR. Now she has her vaccination and is ready to take on the world. From a lonely bush in a parking lot, this adorable little miracle is full of hope for better days ahead. For more, you can follow Boca Raton on Instagram. That is adorable. Julie, thank you so much for sending this one in, and to Florida Officer Gretchen Byrne for rescuing all sorts of cats throughout your duty. Cheers. All right, so that gets us out of flora and fauna, gets us into our last category for today, wholesome notes, category 4, those nice articles that we like to end on. This first one was sent in by Charlie. Thank you so much for sending this one in. I called it 113 Birthdays Later, but I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. I'm so happy. Massachusetts woman celebrates her 113th birthday. A Massachusetts woman who is believed to be the oldest person living in the state is now 113 years old. Hurlda Senhouse of Wellesley was surrounded by family and friends as they celebrated her birthday Wednesday at Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital in Needham. Senhouse is the holder of Wellesley's Boston Post cane, which is given to the town's oldest resident. She received a resolution from the Wellesley Select Board in honor of her 113th birthday. It feels the same as last year, Senhouse said with a laugh. I'm so happy. It's awesome. I'm happy I could be here. In 2021, Senhouse was featured in a special interview with sister station WCVB. Senhouse was born in West Virginia on February 28, 1911, and by the time she was 6 years old, both of her parents and about half of her 9 siblings had died. We didn't have any adults to raise us, so we raised ourselves, Senhouse told Richardson. At age 16, Senhouse moved to Woburn to live with an aunt, and in 1931 she became the first in her family to graduate high school when she earned her diploma from Woburn High. While civil rights leaders marched in the 1960s for equality and against racism, Senhouse showed her activism through jazz dance shows. She founded what was Boston's Clique Club, a social club of dancers and musicians to help educate black students. Senhouse helped countless black students pay for everything from books to college tuition through the Clique Club. There are several videos as well available to see Hurlda Senhouse's celebration. So that is really cool. Eliza, thank you very much for sending that one in. And to Heralda Senhouse, 113 years old and the oldest resident, um, possibly the oldest woman the oldest person in Massachusetts at 113. Cheers. Gotta double check something real quick here. Meta Business Suite. Double check my sources, make sure I've got this one right. I'll go to the Next News one. There we go. Next News. Yep, okay, I got this one right. All right, I called this last article for tonight a sweet gift. It was sent in by Eliza. Thank you very much, Eliza, for this one. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. This one is a very sweet finish. That is a bot. I need to destroy that thing. Banned from page. Cool. I've never had to do that before. Awesome. Frickin' bots, man. Cake for Kids gives bakers the sweet gift of helping others and treats to those who need them. Across the country and in Chicago, there is an army of bakers. Their mission? To put smiles on the faces of kids going through rough times. The bakers are part of a nationwide organization called Cake for Kids. The Chicago chapter recently delivered its 1,000th cake. CBS 2 met one of the bakers as she was making her latest treat. Lisa Swanson is making a birthday cake for a child she will never meet. This particular young lady wanted basketball, so I decided to make it look like a basketball. Swanson is a volunteer baker for Cake for Kids. It's a national network of bakers who make treats for children in difficult circumstances like those in foster care. That's a need that needs to get filled, and I'm happy to do a teeny tiny part, Swanson said. For privacy reasons, Swanson doesn't know the complete identity of the little girl who will get this cake, but Swanson's okay with that. I just always have a feeling that there's a kid out there, and I see him smiling. That's what I take out there, Swanson said. Okay, Lily. There are photographs of kids who received a special treat made for them from a baker, just like Swanson. They don't have much, and I can just do a little bit, and that's what makes me feel good, Swanson said. Cake for Kids started in California in 2010. The founder heard about a foster kid who finally had her own birthday cake after not getting one for years. The bakers pay for all their supplies themselves, so it's not just a donation of time, but resources as well. Swanson takes her cake to Arden Shore Child and Family Services in Waukegan. The organization helps about 2,000 children. It would be hard to do it themselves, so they rely on Cake for Kids to make birthdays special. It would be impossible for us to deliver it to the families, said Dora Maya, president of Arden Shore. I've seen smiles, I've seen tears. Overall, it's joy, added Arden Shore placement caseworker Brittany Kirkwood. After dropping off the cake, Swanson heads back home to make another for a child she will never meet. They may not get a cake from anyone else, but they'll get a cake from me, Swanson said. That is an amazing article. To Cake for Kids, delivering cakes to children who need them for special days. And to Eliza for sending that one in. Cheers. Well, it's not a competition, but I feel like Eliza might have really hit hard on that one. Let's see. We had 1, 2, 3. We had 3 from Cassidy. We had 1, 2, 3. We had 4 from Eliza. So Eliza sent in the most for this weekend. Thank you very much to everybody who sent them in. Eliza, Cassidy, Julie, and Charlie. Thank you all so much for sending in those beautiful articles. We'll get to more of them that you guys sent in. You guys and gals all sent in. For this one, we'll push those back to the next one. I'll also go through goodnewsnetwork.org to flesh out more. Usually we do about 12 articles a night. Tonight we did 9 great articles, so thank you all very much. I don't have much else. As usual, thank you again for tuning in or catching the replay on the Knicks News Facebook page or down the road, the Knicks News YouTube page. We're usually live every other Sunday, and our next episode will be on April 14th, 2024, which will actually be after my birthday. So, cool. I encourage participation, so if you feel inclined, you can message or post suggestions for a news brew, shout-outs, news quotes, as well as good news articles that we can present on future episodes. If possible, I'd appreciate a variety of articles that are spread out across our 4 major categories, and those categories, again, are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes. Take a look at those articles when you're going to submit them. If it feels like it's good news, if it makes you feel good, definitely send it in, and I will be featuring it on future episodes of Knicks News. As always, thank you again. I love you all, and have a great night, and I'll play us out.